Hi, everybody. Thanks, Dave, for having me. How are you? And how is everybody? Thank you so much for being here. Let me just fix my screen really quickly, and I want to open up my questions. And I would love to know, where are you guys coming in from? Because I see that there is definitely a full room. And where are you all coming from today? Which part of the world? I am in Spain right now. So I'm in Barcelona. Is there anybody else here who's from Europe or in Europe at the moment, traveling around here? Or where is everybody? You guys could put it all in the question box. So the more you guys respond, the more fun we can have. Let me know here in the question box, where is everybody coming from? And I'm not sure if it's working. And just a second. Ah, there we go. Okay. Okay, cool. Now I see it. There you go. Oh, Ricky, you're coming in. Oh, you got in, Ricky. I'm happy to see that because I know that you were. Paul, are you really coming from Lebanon? Or maybe you're coming from Lebanon from another, because Lebanon has been having some serious issues. Oh, wow. Well, I'm grateful that you are here. I hope you are staying safe, for sure. Uh, Okay, hi, Tarek. You are in Maine. Oh, beautiful, beautiful time of the year right now, I'm sure, right? Absolutely perfect weather, the foliage. Oh, I remember. I used to live in Rhode Island. We used to go to Maine quite a lot, especially for the foliage time of the year. Hi, Matt from Long Island. Good to have you here. I'm happy that you are all here, everybody, and hopefully staying safe and warm and good. Ed is from Arizona. Bjorn, right? I hope that's the proper way to pronounce it. Bjorn, Sweden. Yes, are from Gutenberg. Oh, the rest of Helena is here now. Oh, good. All right. Well, I'm happy you guys are all here. And I just want to say again, thanks. And now let's begin and have a little bit of fun. Today, I want to talk a little bit about how to dominate the market under any condition. Because here's the reality, guys. The elections are coming. I don't care what your political choice is. We're not here to discuss politics whatsoever, but the market is going to do some crazy stuff. And if you know how to dominate the market under any condition, you will be able to win. And trust me, working the election, after the election, and before the election, if the market is going up or down, you could still really, really become a really good, strong trader just from understanding few things. And that is what I'm going to be talking to you about. And this is me. I am Marina, the Trader Chick. And like I mentioned earlier, I am living in Barcelona. I am an expat. I've been an expat now for over 20 years. My family and I first lived in Costa Rica, then we moved to Guatemala for 14 years, and just a little under 2 years ago, we moved to Barcelona. Truly one of the most beautiful places that we have ever lived, but I also love living in Central America just as much. And before I was a day trader, I was a fitness instructor. And literally, the only reason why I'm telling you this, guys, is because so many people believe that you have to come from some engineering background, software background, or financial, mathematical, economics background. You don't. I was a fitness instructor, and I love trading because it allows you to have a very flexible lifestyle, and anybody can do it. That's the coolest thing of all. And also, I am trilingual, and the only reason I bring up that I'm trilingual is I struggled with trading for quite a long time with the financial markets until one day I started to look at the market as if though it was its own language. Because when I was a child, we were refugees from the Soviet Union, moved to the United States. I learned English when I was 6. So I didn't really learn English as much as I just learned how to speak. But I learned Spanish because I'm fluent in Spanish when I was in my late 20s. And when you learn a new language, it's a whole process, right? I'm sure all of you guys who have a second or a third language that you learned later on in life, you know that it's a process. And if you apply that kind of a process, if you look at the market as though it's its own language, that is when you could truly start to be a successful trader. And every time I talk about this, I used to do a lot of in-person events. I used to say this. A lot of people be like, you are so right. Because the market speaks to us, the market talks to us, the market has its own language. And if you start to listen to it and work with it versus what a lot of people I find doing is they're trying to beat the market or predict the market, and that will never work because we will never know what the market wants to do, right? Unless we listen to it and watch it. And that is exactly what I will be teaching you guys today. And like I said before, the coolest thing about trading, you could do it from anywhere. That's the beauty of trading. And like I said earlier, I used to do a lot of in-person presentations. Today, I'm mainly online because I travel so much that it's just easier for me to do this. Now, before I dive in, I actually have the entire presentation for you for free in a worksheet completely for free. So go to makingofadaytrader.com, makingofadaytrader.com. Just follow the letters right here. It will take you to where you can get it for free. And as Dave mentioned, in a couple of hours, he's going to be giving the replays. And this way you could go at your own pace with the presentation in hand and really follow along. So, what are the basics of trading? Because here's the thing, guys. You cannot enter a conversation with, let's say, native Spanish speakers if you don't know the basics. Hola, mi nombre es Marina, or even like the nouns, the tenses. Those are the basics, right? You cannot possibly imagine yourself entering and thinking you're just going to join in a native, fluent conversation in Spanish when you don't know how to speak. Yet, how many people enter the market just giving their hard earned money to the market without understanding the super basics? I want to talk about that. Once you get those basics, you know what I say? That people are putting in windows without any walls, and then they're wondering why the windows are constantly crashing to the ground. Okay, we're not going to do that anymore. Basically, what's happening is people are putting in trades, they're constantly being stopped out and wondering why, because they don't have the basics. So let's dive in. First and foremost, if you do not have a platform, guys, don't even pretend you're going to do well. Okay, you cannot be on some rinky-dink little app thinking that you are going to be a pro trader. That is such a lie. Okay, it is a total myth. When people are saying to you, oh, all you need is your phone, it's not true. You need a platform, right? You cannot be a Formula One driver in a minivan. It's just not possible, right? And usually really good platforms, the majority of them do, they all have a universal indicators. So you don't need to buy indicators. Okay, now let's get to the nitty gritty, the fun stuff, market movement and the trend breakdown. Look, we all know that there are three trends, right? There's an upward trend, a downward trend, but the most important trend of all is the sideways trend. Why? Because if you look at your trading, whatever you call it, journaling, backlogging, wherever you keep all your trades, you will notice that the majority of your money that you lose is usually in a sideways trend. So I really want to focus on those sideways trends because this is where your money gets taken, or this is where you can make the most amount of money from. So if you look at it the right way, that's when you're going to be able to truly understand what's going on. Like I mentioned earlier, just because something is a strong trend in one direction does not mean it's going to continue. And if you have a sideways trend, it can stop it and transition it. So you want to be able to understand how and when that happens. So just a really quick rundown. What's an upward trend? It's when each pivot is higher than the next pivot, right? It's the bull market. It's a market trending up. It's the market going up. This is where you are buying. This is when you are going long. All right, what does that mean? It literally means you're entering at a low price point, exiting at a high price point, and you're taking the profit in between. All right, it's really important for you guys to understand this because it's amazing the amount of people that think they're going long when they're shorting the market and wondering why they're getting stopped out. All right, when you are going long, you are entering low, exiting high. When you are buying, same exact thing, just different terminology, entering low, exiting high. What's a downward trend? It's literally the opposite. It is when each pivot is lower than the next. And here's the important thing, guys. Most traders make more money on the downward market than on the upward market. What is it when we're going down? We are selling or shorting the market or going short. What does that mean? You're entering at a high price point, you're exiting at a low price point, and you are taking that profit in between. You are selling, you are shorting the market. All right. shorting the market, entering high, exiting low, boom. This is where the market is going down. This is when there's a bear market, market trending down. All right, let's talk about the most important trend that there is, the consolidation area, the transition area. I literally call this the trader's worst enemy. And once you learn how to spot it and avoid it, you will be golden. This is a channeling market, the sideways market, the chop, the exhaustion pattern, the indecision area. It doesn't matter what you call it. This is a place where there is no strength in the market. This is a place where the market is not doing anything. Do you really want to be putting your hard-earned money into a market that has absolutely no momentum? Yet so many people do, and yet so many people end up losing most of their money in these kinds of markets. And when you first do it and you lose, it's understandable. But what happens is you start to become, excuse me, an emotional trader. And you start to think you're going to predict the market, you're going to beat the market, you're going to start to put the money in, and it becomes revenge trading. And it's a massive spiral to a zero or a negative bank account. All right. You have to understand this, and you have to learn to read it. And the reason why it becomes emotional is because so many, there's millions of traders out there, but only two categories of traders. Okay. The two categories are, one, trend is your friend trader. I'm sure you've heard of that one lots of times. When they look at this, they're like, you know what? The market's been going up. I'm going to continue going long. Or the other category, the contrarian trader. The market's been going up. It's got to correct. I'm going to short the market. But here's a reality check. The market doesn't have to do anything. The market is going to do what it's going to do. So when you're seeing this, you need to just sit out. Sit out, because it could go flat for a while. It can transition. It can break out, but you don't know. And that's not for you to know, because you simply don't have that kind of power to even make it happen. But you do have the power to sit and wait for the market to tell you what it's going to do. So here we go. Consolidation areas. These are important, and they can turn into transition areas. But if you are trying to predict it, it's never going to happen, because by the time it does happen, you're going to be out of money. All right. And they happen quite often. This is how it goes. All right, guys. These areas happen, then they break out. We can enter another consolidation. It transitions. We can enter, so on and so forth. So you need to understand these areas. This is the sideways market, and they take all your money. Now, let's understand it. Let's really, really get down into it and truly understand how this works and what it's about. So the market has areas, and it respects areas. All right. And we, as the individual retail trader, need to respect those areas with the market. All right. What are those areas? They are the support and resistance areas. So I'm going to go back to the Formula One analogy. It's important to understand, right? Actually, it's a pretty well-known, reality that during the Formula One season, 25% of the drivers could either get into a massive accident and just get really hurt, or even worse, have a fatality, right? So when they are about to enter the car, they have their helmets, they have fireproof uniforms, they have, when they're in the car, they have several seatbelts, right? They are prepared. They are keeping themselves as safe as they can. Yet traders, 99% of them fail, have zero safety measures. Support and resistance are your safety measures. These are your seatbelts. So what are these areas, right? Obviously, they're the ones that formulate, like show us that they are channels. But what are they? So when you hear people say resistance area, this is what it is. It's the ceiling of the market, okay? It is when a market is hitting over and over and over again the ceiling, and it's not breaking through, okay? That is the ceiling of the market. And it respects it. It could hit that area over and over again. So if we draw it in, and you need to draw it in, why? Because everything to the left is what's the most important thing of when you enter the trade, right? So when you're entering the trade, you want to be able to look at the left on your chart and be like, this is the reason why I entered the trade. So if you have a resistance area, let's say, and you went in and you did not draw that resistance area and you get stopped out, well, that's because you didn't draw that area in. And if you put your seatbelts on, you probably would have saved yourself a lot of money. All right. What's a support area? It's the exact opposite. It is the floor of the market. It is when the market is hitting over and over and over again. Again, guys, so seatbelts, you got to know when the support area is forming and you got to draw it out and you need to respect it. All right. Then when you have a channel, you have the resistance and the support together right there, and they are drawn in and powerfully showing you that this is a dead area. This is a dead zone. This is an area where there's absolutely no momentum. There is no real strength, right? If you're looking at this channel right now, do you want to be putting your money in? Interestingly enough, the majority of the money that gets lost is put into these types of areas. And you know the coolest thing of it all is it's free to spot them. It is free to recognize them, and it is free to draw them in. You do not need to pay some fancy schmancy software algorithm kind of a thing because it's already part of your platform. All right. And it's really important. Look at this ugly, grindy behavior. Do you really want to be in that? No. Look at this choppy one. Even though it's a big channel, it's ugly, man. There is nowhere to go here. I don't touch these kinds of markets, and I have saved myself so much money and have been able to enter really strong trades when they break out or transition from these areas. But that only happens when you are drawing it in. So how do you start to draw these areas in the beginning of these areas, right? It's one thing when you're already having it for quite some time, but what about when it's happening in the beginning? That is reversal areas and divergences. They're the double tops, the triple tops, the double bottoms, triple bottoms, head and shoulders. This is where you start to spot and recognize these areas. All right, guys, reversal patterns and divergences are my absolute favorite. They have been my biggest aha moments. They have also been my greatest indicators, and they're free. So, what does that mean when you have a reversal pattern, right? It does not mean that it's 100% reversal pattern. I mean, reversal coming up. What it does mean, it is a very high potential and probability, but you don't know when. So, when you spot it, you just need to sit out and wait because that's when you know the market is totally losing its steam and you're going to give it some time to find its pace again. And the coolest thing of all is divergence. What is divergence? If you could look here, you could see that my price action is at a perfect double bottom, right? It's a flat line, but my MACDs, which is my absolute favorite indicator, is these red dots that you're spotting here. Is these red dots. You could see they are going upwards, right? That's divergence. I love divergence. To me, divergence is literally my holy grail. It tells me so much because it tells me when the market is slowing down. It's telling me when the market is strong. It's telling me when the market is weak. It is just, it talks to me. And it is so simple to understand it. Once you spot it and understand it, I can guarantee you will completely take your trading to the next level and be starting to make consistent, not just wild guessing types of trades, consistent, profitable trades. Okay, let's put it all together. Like I mentioned earlier, everything I'm showing you is in a cheat sheet or the presentation, makingofadaytrader.com. So go to makingofadaytrader.com, put it in makingofadaytrader.com. And let's talk about breakout areas. How do you spot valid breakouts? Why is a breakout such an important trade? Because it's probably one of the easiest to spot, and it's usually one of the highest probability profitability types of trades, right? But if you don't have your areas drawn in, if you don't know if it's a strong movement, you're going to miss out on one of the most beautiful, easy to understand trade setups there is, right? So breakout is basically, in layman's terms, is when you're going in one direction and all of a sudden there is just this flat line, right? Like there's this area that you're just constantly hitting and it's not going and you're not really sure what's going on. You're kind of like just stuck in this, low motion, no momentum space. And all of a sudden, boom, you get this massive burst of energy in the same direction. That's a breakout. You're going in one direction, flat, next, boom. Okay, super, super important. All right, guys. And when I put in my MACDs, that's when it really, really brings it out for me. So the way I trade breakout trades is, as you can see here, I always have my areas drawn in. Now the MACDs, if you could look at the MACDs, there's this black dashed line. That's the zero area. That's the dead zone. That's where the market has no real strength. And when it finally breaks out through the resistance area, boom, look at the amount of strength in the MACDs. It just flies through those two brown lines and just keeps on flying. That shows super, super strong movement, right? And it goes with the price action. There's no divergence, right? It's popping up and it's moving. That's when you enter. That's when you enter. Now, the other super cool, strong trade setup, which is a bonus here, I call it the initial reaction trade setup, but basically it is the new trend trade, right? What does that mean? So imagine yourself, you want to go jogging, right? You are fully dressed in your jogging clothes, you just got on your sneakers, and you are out the door. If I was to bet on you, like where you're going to make the furthest distance from your door, it's probably in the beginning of that jog. It's the same thing with the new trend, right? Or what I call initial instant reaction, because you want to be as instant to the new transition as possible. And once you could get in early, that's when you could get a really good profit as well, right? Like the target profit runs much more. Again, like I said, everything I have here is for you guys to get it. Go to makingofadaytrader.com and you will have your free worksheet. So here's the thing, guys. We have absolutely everything that we need to take action, right? We have absolutely everything. We have these amazing free summits. We have tons of YouTubers. We have amazing people that share so much of their information on podcasts, through books, through videos, through live presentations, right? Tons. But how do you know you're doing it right? How do you know that you're doing it right? Because all of this is great, but the real question that you're probably asking yourself is, how do I truly get started? Right? How do I get started? And I don't get this question from beginners, right? I get this from seasoned traders just the same. They ask me, what can I do to turn this around? How can I become profitable? How can I become more consistent? Because even though they've been doing it for a while, it's not consistent. It's kind of like a guessing game and uncertainty, right? And usually it stems from just lacking the understanding of the basics. It's incredible. Like just having those basics will build those walls so that you are able to put in your windows. What are those windows? That's your trades, right? And when you have solid foundation holding them in, that's when you could get really good with those trading. And usually it's just a lacking understanding of the basics. It's like when you're getting into a car, right? You have to kind of go back in time and remember, even though today when you hop in, you're putting on your seatbelt, you know where the steering wheel is, you know where the gear shift is, you know where the pedals are. But at the end of the day, this wasn't given to us. We weren't born with this information, right? These are the basics of a car, but we learned them. Someone told us to us, somebody taught this to us, right? And just imagine even more. Go back, like get really creative in your mind and imagine you're driving and somebody gets into your car who has never been in a car. And you're like, all right, buckle up your seatbelt. It's going to save your life. And they're like, what's a seatbelt? Where's the seatbelt? Buckle up. What does this mean? I don't understand. If you've never explained this to somebody, that thing that will keep them alive will not be present to them because they won't know what they're looking for, right? And that is, I find that is one of the greatest disadvantages when with trading academies and all these gurus and stuff. They don't talk about the basics, right? I always feel like it's when if your child tells you that they want to learn how to play an instrument and you're like, all right, let's go to the music conservatory, and instead of entering music room 101, how to hold your flute, they're thrown into the symphonic pit and expected to play with professional musicians. It's not going to happen, right? You need to start from the beginning. And that was my own personal sad truth for years, for years. I spent over $20,000 on my own trainings. I'm not exaggerating. I've had it all. Chat rooms, alert rooms, summits, conferences, academies. It was crazy. And yet I still struggled for years. I consistently was losing money. And the main reason why, and I literally lost almost $4,000 in 5 minutes, is because every time I asked about a basic question, can you please explain a divergence? Can you please explain what is a buy versus a sell? They would treat me like either I was supposed to be born with that information or totally ignore me, right? So nobody actually taught it. And that is absolutely crucial. So after I almost lost $4,000, guess what? I quit. I quit. I couldn't handle it anymore. I felt like such a loser. I felt so defeated. So defeated. But here's the thing. All of us in the room right now, I can guarantee you, are similar in the fact that we are all bit by the trading bug. We are all bit by the trading bug, and it never stops itching. And you know why? Because deep down inside, we know that we could do this. When I quit, when I walked away for 4 months, but I could never ever stop that itch. And I was constantly watching others. And I'm like, if they could do it, so could I. If they can do it, so can I. And guess what? I decided to come back and I decided to get back to the basics. First of all, I had 3 charts, I had 3 monitors. I literally donated 2 high definition monitors away. I gave them away. I had 10 indicators, no joke, true story, 10 indicators. I got rid of all my indicators. I went into pure naked price action because what happens with us is that we hear one person say, oh, I like this indicator, or this other person, I like this indicator. And we start to put all these indicators in without actually seeing if they work for us. So, confession I have is that I actually had the Kettler bands, the Bollinger bands, and the Fibonacci's. And even though they're really popular, when I removed them, it was one of the most liberating feelings for me because I never aligned with those indicators. So you need to really align with the indicator, right? And you need to get back to the basics. And after some time, I started to teach. One of my students just a few years back goes to me, he's like, you know, Marina, your teaching philosophy and teaching way is very similar to Coach John Wooden. And I'm like, who's Coach John Wooden? I never heard of Coach John Wooden. And of course, I had to look him up. And this man was a legendary coach. He was a legendary basketball coach. And his entire philosophy, his entire teaching model was when in doubt, get back to the basics. I mean, this guy has 88 national championships, 10 NCAAs. He trained list A-star athletes, right? But it doesn't matter. Every time he began the season, every time he would start with the basics. How to tie your shoe, how to roll up your sock, how to dribble the ball. Why? Because those egos could get big really quick, right? They just won all these different accolades and all these different awards and competitions and championships. But if you're on the field and your shoe isn't tied properly, guess what? You might sprain your ankle, and all those wins mean nothing because you're going to be sitting out with a sprained ankle for the entire season. So you need to get back to the basics. And that's what I have for you guys today. I have a very special offer for participants only. My introductory course, Bootcamp for Day Trading. Bootcamp for day trading. All right, guys. So you could do this on any apparatus, your phone, tablets, laptops, desktops. It does not matter. And all of this one-time fee, $97. All right. I want you guys, I mean, you're here right now. So just give me a few more minutes. I want you to go and type in bootcampfordaytrading.com. Go and put it in right now into your navigator, into your where you put your URLs, bootcampfordaytrading.com, and I want you to follow along with me. First and foremost, what can we get for $97 today that brings us the same return on investment? Do you guys like to play golf? Well, let's face it. Golf today, it's at least 120 between $500 easily per person, correct? How about taking your family out to dinner or lunch? You know what? Today, $97 barely buys two people a good lunch and a glass of wine. And that's the reality. So let me break it down for you, what you guys are going to be getting in this course. Okay, first and foremost, go to bootcampfordaytrading.com so that you can follow along. Now, what are you guys going to be getting? The prequel right here, the framework, understanding the simplified version. Then you're going to I know that I kept on saying about the charting software and the platform, and a lot of times they can be quite confusing. So I have a tutorial to help you get it set up and going. All right, because once you get that set up, then you could have the fun in the trading. Then we really dive deep into dissecting those markets, trending markets, upwards, sidewards, downwards. We really talk about reversals and divergences because those are the magic signs and they're free. Once you get understand them and read them, I cannot even tell you the world of opportunity it's gonna give you. Reversal patterns are just amazing. And areas, guys, support and resistance. And we have to know, we have to learn how to spot them. And once you do, it's golden. And divergences, that's just my holy grail. I truly believe that divergences tell us when there is strength, when there is weakness, when to stay out of the market. And once you could read it, you're good to go because I can guarantee that is something that is overlooked and it's one of the easiest things to be able to spot. All right. And breakout. So we want to master one of the best, most important trades there is, right? Those setups there is, and that is the breakout. And to avoid those fake out breakouts because they happen. Fake out breakouts happen and they're quite simple to avoid because once you learn how to spot those breakouts, you'll be seeing a lot of them and you'll get unlimited access to this curriculum. All this is valued at $1,600, but you guys get it for $97. And here's what some of my students have to say. And I have students from all over the world because that's the cool thing about trading. You can do it from anywhere. So, Michelle, just finished boot camp, best money ever spent. Derek, you are the only mentor that truly checks her work. Adrian, I am enjoying your boot camp and I'm learning every day. But I want to share something really important with you. This is really important, guys, okay? Do you remember how I mentioned and I asked you, how do you know you're doing it right? Correct? You remember that? How do you know you're doing it right? Who is there to answer your questions, to be accountable to look at the charts with you? So what I have done is I have added one free month, one entire month of one-on-one unlimited mentorship coaching feedback with me, included in that one-time price of $97. This alone is totally priceless. And I know for a fact that all my students that use it are just always so pleased with it because they have somebody to show their charts, to talk about it, go over it. That's what it's all about. And that is included in your $97 because having a mentor could be what takes you to that top. All right, guys. So all of this is valued at $2,600, but for you guys, $97. I want you to go here right now, bootcampfordaytrading.com. bootcampfordaytrading.com. Here's what you guys get for that $97. Everything in the course. You get me one-on-one with you for 30 days. And I also have a live trade chat room where you could go in for free for 1 month. You get membership. And all of this is worth less than the price of one trade. Why? Because we all know that normally trades are between $200 to $400, right? Normally, $200 to $400. This is less than one trade, and you will get 10x the return on your investment because this education alone will totally take you to that next level, right? And then you can go for 100 of these dinners and have a blast. But here's the thing. Because of my mentorship, I can only take on 25 students. All right. So I just want to let you know that this room is full and I usually sell out pretty fast. So I'm just letting you know, this is like a no-brainer. So I want to go here with you guys. Go to bootcampfordaytrading.com and this is your order form that you're going to be seeing. So bootcampfordaytrading.com right there. Now, as I just said before, one-time payment of $97 If you really do need a payment plan, I do have for 2 months for $59, but then you get access automatically. Do not wait for the second payment. You have access right away. Okay, guys? So go to bootcamp4daytrading.com, and then I am here to help you guys truly succeed. So right now, I would love to know if you guys have any questions or if there's anything at all. But this is a deal that I only offer for live presentation. I do not offer this at all. This exact course is $297, and you only get 2 weeks of mentorship with me. So you get this for $97, and you get one entire month of mentorship with me. And why am I doing this? Because the fact that you guys took your time to be here today, I truly appreciate it. And I just really want to see you guys succeed. And it's not as hard as people think. So I'm here to help. I just want to say thank you so much for being here, for taking your time out. And thank you, Dave, for having me again on this amazing Festival of Traders.